Guess who's back? I'm back, I'm restored, I'm healed. God has been doing a wonderful work in my life, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. We're starting again with Walk It Out, and I'll provide some context. But just before we do, let me play the intro. Hello, everybody. My name is Mthoko, and for some of you that don't know me, I'm Mthoko Ndaba. I am a husband, I'm a friend, I am a son, and I'm excited about this new season that God has me in. I know a few people asked me to continue making this content throughout the year, but it's been quite a journey. It's been quite a trip, and I want to tell you all about it because I've had this remarkable time with God. And I've been experiencing some wonderful and great things, but I've also been experiencing some challenges. And I want to invite you on this journey with me. And I'm hoping that as we go on this journey, that you can learn some things for yourself as well and see how God wants to speak to you and see what God wants to do in your life and through your life as well. So things are going to be different. Okay, I must say this up front because for many of you, I'm not saying many of you, for some of you, you're used to me speaking as a pastor, right? You're used to me conducting my, can I say videos or the way that I'm talking in a specific way. And that's going to change because number one, I'm not a pastor. Yes, I have the gift of it, but I'm not a pastor in this moment. Number two, I want to change from speaking at you to almost feeling like it's a conversation, like it's something that we'd be talking about if we were at a coffee shop or if we're having a braai or that kind of chilled family or friend situation. Okay. So now for some of you, you may be used to how I used to speak, and it's going to take you some time to get used to how I'm going to speak. And I'm going to be more direct. I'm going to be a little bit less um, put together. This is going to be very casual. You might hear Asia in the background. You might hear my mom. You might hear my wife. You might hear different things happening in the background because I've had to strip all of that away and just come at you chilled, just come at you real because I want to make this as sustainable and as long term as possible. So I'm excited to say that. Number two. This is also very important. I want to put out this content twice a week. And as we go, and as we are going on this journey, I want to see which 2 days are the best. I'm thinking Mondays and Thursdays, but let's see. Let's see what the Holy Spirit does. Let's see where it takes us. And I'm trusting Him to show me the path. Okay, so last year, this time, let's go on a journey a little bit. Okay. Last year, this time, we had to make a difficult decision to either keep the church that we were pastoring. If you don't know, I used to run a church called New Life Church in Alspruit, and we had to make a difficult decision whether to keep the church or whether to close it, right? And in that process, we decided to keep the church. After praying and speaking to people, we're like, we're going to give it a go. Now, the challenging part about that is that it was very difficult to have income after December. So as we went into the new year, we had to go from having a fixed salary to trusting God and to depending on God for how people give, and for how people give, and based on how they give, it would determine then what income we'd get. So very unstable. And obviously, if it's like that unstable, it's very difficult to plan and it's very difficult to pay all your bills and all your expenses. So long story short, we decided to stay by faith. And after 1 to 3 months, by March, we were closing it down. I got very sick. And I felt like in the middle of that sickness that God was speaking to me and was telling me to close the church. Now, bear in mind, I don't know if you, maybe you do, but probably not. You probably don't know anyone who closed the church. There's nothing as painful as closing a house of worship. Look, you can close a business, you can close another organization, but to close a place of worship, a place where people have invested their time, a place where people have invested their emotions, a place where people have invested their money, and then for you to be the person who makes the decision that we're closing this church was not easy. It was so difficult, especially also because it wasn't just closing and staying in Nelspruit. We had to close and then move back home. Nah? So we didn't move back home into our own place. We moved back home into my in-laws' place. So you can imagine that has been quite the journey. Okay. So we moved back and we are living life and we're like, okay, we're gonna run our businesses. Excuse me. we're going to run our businesses. And as we're running our businesses, we're going to see what God has next. So until we hear what's next, we're going to do this right now. And I think that's something that's very important for us to know is that if you're not sure exactly what God is saying to do next, and if you're waiting and you're expecting Him to show you what the next thing is, I want to encourage you to get focused and to stick to what you're doing and to lock into this thing, because God won't always tell you what's next until you complete what's now. And if God is not speaking to you about what's next, it means you need to be faithful and commit to what's now. So at the time, I thought, yeah, we run our businesses and then we see what's next. So we come back, we get plugged in, we run our businesses. I do printing, I do designs, I do media and all those kinds of things. My wife does events and she does baking. We just lock in and we go, right? Heartbroken, disappointed. So many things that we haven't spoken about, so many things that we're trying to work through. We're offended with the church, we're angry at God, but we still love God. We love God. This is also another important point. We love God, but we don't like Him as much in that season, right? I love Him now. I like Him now. Things have changed. He's restored me. But in that moment, I love God and I was devoted to God, but I didn't like Him. And have you ever been in a season like that where you felt like, God, I love you. God, I worship you. You are my King. You are my Lord. But you're tricky, Lord. Like, Lord, you're a little bit tricky. The way that you do things is difficult, and yeah, I'll do everything that you tell me to do, but I'm not excited about you in this season. I'll be very honest. And if you're in a season like that, I know exactly how you feel, and we've been going through that. So we run the businesses, and the first couple of months is okay, understandably, because now you're back into it, and then it goes up. Then after a while, it starts to go down. Okay. Now, as it's going down, I need to be paying attention to what God is trying to say to me, because every time God tries to get my attention, He'll always speak to me through my finances. So He'll close the tabs. And when He closes the tabs, it gets my attention because it's like we were going and we're moving and things were looking up, right? We're back. Okay. We're going to figure out where we're going to move to. We're going to do all of those things. All of our bills will be cashed. We'll catch up on all of our bills. We'll be sharp. Things are going to move. Things are going to flow. And then bam, things start to go a little bit down. And in that moment, obviously the biggest thing is like, Lord, why are we going through this again? I thought you had just taken us out of a situation like this. Why are you putting us back in? And so the finances don't get my full attention. I'll be very honest. They don't get my full attention because now I'm just trying to hold on. Now I'm just trying to push through that so that I can get to the other side of it. Because I'm not realizing that in that little downhill path that God is actually trying to get my attention. So I'm pushing, man. I'm trying to get business going and I'm trying to get us back on the way up. Excuse me. Then I get sick again. Part two, I get sick again. So I reached a point where God could no longer get my attention through money. Now He needed to get my attention through my health. And He put me in the point where I'm on the bed and I'm sick and medication isn't working. Yeah, that's another big thing. The medication wasn't working. Everything that I was trying wasn't working. Whether you sleep, whatever, doesn't work. Get to that point, and in the middle of that, I'm not seeking His face, and I'm upset now because I'm like, Lord, what is going on? Like I thought we were going the right direction. What are you doing now? Now can't we just push and go in this thing? And inside, deep down, I knew something wasn't correct in my life. Like I knew I wasn't quite moving in the right direction, but I just flowed with it anyway. Because maybe it's going to change. Maybe I just need to be more consistent in this area. We just come from closing a church and we just did that for 2 years. And before that we were in Joburg. Before that we were in Witbank. So it was like Witbank, Joburg, now Speed. I'm like, Lord, I just need some consistency. Like for the next 5 years or something, let's just go in this direction. In the middle of all of that, um, I'm like fighting. I'm like wrestling with God. I felt like I was like, in the Bible it speaks about who was it? Was it Jacob? Yeah, Jacob wrestled with God, right? And he was like, I won't let you go until you bless my soul. And that's what I felt like I was doing. I felt like I was wrestling and I'm fighting with God. And I'm like, Lord, you need to give me an answer. And I don't want to take another step and I don't want to move in any direction that you haven't given me the instruction to move in. So I'm working, but I'm like just work. I'm barely working because I don't want to take another step in the wrong direction. And I'm reading the Bible and I'm listening to podcasts and I'm speaking to my wife and I'm speaking to friends because I want to hear from the outside in, what are people seeing that I'm not seeing? That maybe I am faithful, but there's something small that is missing. So where am I getting it wrong? So I'm seeking God, and I'm seeking Him, and I'm seeking Him, and I'm seeking Him, and um, I get nothing. And the frustration is building up, okay? Because as the frustration is building up, it's been caused by bills going up, it's been caused by confusion and me not knowing what I'm supposed to do. And every time something went wrong with work, I get extra frustrated because I'm like, you see, this is why it's happening, because I'm not moving in the right direction. At least I felt like I wasn't moving in the right direction. So I speak to God and I say, Lord, I am frustrated. Lord, I'm upset. And Lord, I need you to do something in my life. I was just checking. I thought I wasn't recording. That would have been frustrating. Um, and then I speak to him like that, and like this frustration is building. Guys, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And I know you've been in a situation like that where you need God to answer you. You need God to provide some clarity and some direction. That doesn't have to be like he doesn't have to give you like 10, 20 years, but just give me the direction in which I should step, and I'll step in that direction. God, that's all I need. So I think it was I think it was 2 weeks ago on a Monday. No, a week ago. It was a week ago. Was it a week ago? Anyway, last week or the week before, whatever. I am frustrated, guys, to the point where I'm swearing, and I don't swear. Okay, swearing is not something that's like in my core, but I was swearing like out loud. I was like, gaff, 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 gaff. But obviously, like, loud enough that I can feel the relief, but soft enough that other people don't hear me. Okay, and um, inside I'm just like, Lord, I need something. And it felt like it was boiling and boiling and boiling. And it was reaching that moment where I was about to hit like that overflow where it just everything erupts. And yeah, but I couldn't explain exactly what it was because I felt like something was going to erupt, but I didn't know in what way, good way or a bad way, but I felt the tension increasing. So the tension increases, and I'm washing the dishes. And as I'm washing the dishes, I'm listening to a podcast. Now in this podcast, there's two guys who are talking, and they're having like a Q&A session, and they're speaking to different people, and they're giving them advice and guidance on their life. And then this one lady comes and asks a question. She says, how do I separate myself from my parents? So my parents have been very involved in my life. They've been a big part of my progress and my journey. They've even been so involved that they've helped me get my degree. Oh, she got 2 degrees, and they helped to pay the deposits on her house. But now she's reached a point where she wants to go her own path, and she felt like her parents were telling her to move in another direction. So I'm listening to this, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because as a person who works with people, I'm always trying to learn and study and figure out, oh, what would I say to someone if they ask me about this thing? So now I'm approaching this thing like as a student now. I'm no longer talking to God about, Lord, speak to me about me, speak to me about me, speak to me about me. And just before I actually washed the dishes, I'd surrendered. I said, Lord, I don't know what you want to do, but here, take me, take all of this, and yeah, I'm just like, I'm up to here. But I still want to get into your word, and I still want to hear what you have to say to me, because even though I'm frustrated, and even though I can't stand how I'm feeling, I still love you, and I'm still committed to you, and I still want you to help me. So we continue. Um, I'm listening to this thing, washing dishes, and she's providing more context to these two guys. And as she's providing context, one of the guys asks her, hey, listen, did your parents get a degree? And she answers and she says, no. So he's like, yeah, exactly. This is my point, right? And then he says, let me actually read it exactly how he said it, because I can say it, but I wanna read it and give you the context of exactly how he said it. He says, it is not our responsibility to live out the dreams that our parents wish they had. Let me read it again. It is not our responsibility to live out the dreams that our parents wish that they had. I was like, oh, that's a good point. And he begins to explain how, as he grew up, he felt like he needed to do the thing that his parents had in mind for him because he wanted to please them, and they had sacrificed so much for him. So he's like, I'm going to do whatever my mom has in mind for me, and I'm going to pursue that career, and I'm going to listen to my dad, and I'm going to pursue that as well, because these people have been so pivotal in my life. They've helped me get to this point. So I want to keep honoring them, and I want to keep doing things that will bless them by doing whatever they want me to do. Then it got interesting. And then this lady started crying. And as she's crying, like she's getting a revelation that she needs to actually have a very difficult conversation with her parents. And as they're giving advice and as they're speaking to her, God begins to speak to me. And this is what God says to me. And I burst into tears. Like I started crying. Like not just like, like the tear that comes like this or the one that comes here. Like, no, I was weeping. Like I was crying, crying, crying. And what God had spoken to me about was I was living my dad's dream. Yo. So I was living my dad's dream, and I didn't realize that for the past 15 or 16 years, I had been living my dad's dream. So my dad went through a situation with a business where he basically got pushed out, and he lost a lot of money. And in the process of losing the money, he lost his family. Like everything fell apart. And since that happened, I wanted to help him get back to that place. No, not since it happened. Since I became a little bit more conscious and a little bit bigger, became a teenager, I wanted to help him out of that situation. And my goal was to start a business and to restore our family name, right? Like the Ndabas are back, and they're doing big things again. And in our town and in our community, we're back to the position that we used to be all those years ago. So that was my goal. And then when I found opportunities, I'd work with my parents and help them build their businesses. And then when I felt like their businesses were okay, I'd go and do my own thing. Like it'll be like just a journey of working for mom, working for dad, working for myself, working for mom, working for dad, working for myself, working for dad, whatever. And then my dad and I got into like a big fight, and it was over a business. And in the middle of that, um, I love my dad and I honor him, but we got to a point where he didn't want to change, and it was affecting me, and it was affecting my life, and it was affecting our relationship. So that day I decided I don't want to work with my dad again. Like, and it wasn't it wasn't in a nasty way. It was just like, yeah, no, it's not gonna work. Like this is not the vibe. So I went from wanting to do it with him to wanting to do it for him. So I'm gonna start this business and I'm gonna make this thing happen, and it's gonna be great. And in the middle of doing all of this, God is calling me to ministry, right? So I'll be going into ministry, running businesses, going to ministry, running businesses, and then sometimes when I'm in ministry, I'm running businesses as well. If you know me, you know I've always been doing that. I've always been doing both, and I've always felt like it was both. And in this moment, God is like, "You're living your dad's dream," and I had realized that actually since I think matric, grade 11 or matric, I had just been pursuing this business thing, and it was never God's vision for me. Now, this is important. This was never the thing that God had told me to do. I wanted to do it because I wanted to help my family. And I've received prophetic messages, and I've received visions, and I've received feedback on different areas of my life. But it was never about business. It was never about design. It was never about media. It was always about ministry. Even when people see me, the thing that they always speak to me the most about is ministry. The thing that they always speak to me most about is how either a video or a message or something I've done in the area of ministry has really impacted their life. It's very rare that people will speak about these other things. Yeah, they'd be like, yeah, it's cool, it's good, whatever. But this was always a big thing. Even to the point where last week I'm speaking to a friend, and he wants me to do some of his cars. And we spent most of that conversation actually talking more about family, more about marriage, more about God, more about purpose than actually speaking about business. Business part of the conversation was this big, and then everything else was this big. And we're speaking like, how's marriage, blah, 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 blah. And we got into conversations about that. But it's like in my life, I've always had more impact in ministry than I have in business. Even with videos, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram, or wherever I posted, or YouTube, I've always had significantly more impact in ministry than I have in business. When I was working in a church, I had more impact and more income than I had in business. And I took some time and I looked at the income, and I was like, my income from ministry has been far higher than my income from business. And listen to this, like I was I was under the influence of a lie. This is so important for me to tell somebody. I just want to see how much time there is on the camera. You know, when you're doing production yourself, you have to like watch everything. This is something like very, very significant that I want to speak to somebody about now. Look, um, I was under the influence of a lie for many years, which is a part of why I was crying so much, because my dad told me, ministry doesn't take care of a family. You won't have enough money to take care of your family. Um, a couple of other people, and I haven't spoken to them about sharing stuff, so I don't want to disclose their names, but like they've told me that you cannot live on ministry. Like ministry does not have the means and the income to take care of you. So I need to help God by doing the tent making, as people would say, and I would say, because Paul made tents and he ran his ministry so that he wouldn't be a burden to the people. So that was all, it was all also covered in scriptures, because lies can be covered in scriptures to justify what you feel like is your truth. And if you don't really seek God, and if you don't really quiet your life, you'll be listening to this lie for years. So I was crying, I was weeping, because I was listening. Like I was paying so much attention to this lie. And that broke off of me. It felt like my brain opened up. It felt like there were scales that were removed off of my brain. Like, like how when Saul had that conversion where he turned into Paul, like the scales fell off his eyes. I felt like scales fell off my brain. And I'd realized for so many years I've been wasting time moving in the wrong direction. And with this desire to help my parents and to be to put some respect and to put some respect and to put some weight behind my family name. I'd been pursuing business when God had told me to pursue ministry. And they said to me that ministry doesn't pay, but I was always taken care of. Now, I wasn't rich and I wasn't exploiting people, taking advantage of people, and said that I always have to say this, but it's the truth. We had enough to get by. And when we didn't have enough to get by, we made it through. If it was tough, we made it through. And then there was a point where we were living comfortably and we were great. And that is because of the goodness of God. Because wherever God guides, He will provide. Wherever there's God's mission, wherever there's God's plan, He will provide for you. So for many of us, let's not focus too much on what too many other people are saying, but let's be sensitive and hear what God wants us to do. And as you do that, God will provide. Now, I don't know how He'll provide, but He'll definitely provide for you. Even now, we see God opening up, giving us grace and opening up opportunities for us to have income once I've made that decision that I'm going to go into full-time ministry once again. So as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm back. And I'm back in full-time ministry and I'm running the businesses part-time. So what I'm doing now is I'm going from full-time business to full-time ministry. So these videos are something that you'll be getting every week. And just until the end of the year, I'm going to be running the businesses part-time, and then see, like during that festive season, what God will have me do there. So while I'm here, I'm trying to create streams of income so that I can do this sustainably. And if these videos add value to you and if you'd like to help, please feel free to do so. You're not obliged to it, but if God leads you to do it, I want to encourage you to please do it. In the link below, I think it's the first or the second one, I don't know. You can see, man, come on, you know how to do this stuff. You'll see that there's a link there to a PayPal account. So you can click on there and you can give and you can donate and you can help me push this thing. But I'm going to push this thing regardless. I'm in a position now where God has given me the grace to do this, and I'm pushing, I'm going, and I'm going to help people. I'm going to be speaking raw. Okay. I just wanted to provide some context today, but I'm just going to be speaking straight up. I'll have some guests. Like sometimes you'll see me sitting this side and there'll be a guest this side. But I'm coming for it. I'm speaking about relationships. I'm going to speak about how to grow in your relationship with God. I'm going to talk about how to walk out some of the scriptures and some of the messages that we've heard. I'm still in New Life Church. That's my church. And I might even talk about some of the messages and how they've impacted me and some of the practical ways that you can actually do that. So I'm in a very exciting season and I can't wait to see where God takes this message. And let me tell you something, like just from a personal point of view. I always felt like something wasn't right, but now the anxiety and the stress is off of me. There's still so many things I still need to do, so many things I still need to fix in the back, but I don't have stress. When I go to bed, I sleep. When I wake up, and I feel like I'm a different person. My wife can see it, my family can see it because I'm back and I feel like me again. Now, has everything like around me changed? No. But have I changed on the inside? Yes, which means now I'm in a better position to change the things around me. So I'm excited and I can't wait to see what God does. If you're watching this and you are my client, let's see what God does. Let's see what God does. Maybe He wants you to move in a different direction. Maybe you are the person who I'm going to work with on a part-time basis to sustain um, the, the the business, and I'll explain that in a little bit more context a little bit later. But maybe that's what your thing is. But anyway, I'm back. I'm bringing this message of Jesus to the whole world. I'm helping people live out their faith, providing practical and applicable ways of reading your Bible and then knowing what to do. I want to help you be more sensitive to God. I want to help you understand what the Holy Spirit is doing in your life. I want to help you live out your purpose to be a better family member, to be a better husband, to be a better wife, to be a better child, to be a better everything. And that's all based on the scriptures. So it's not a Christian podcast, but it is. I'm not preaching, but I might. We're having conversations and it's chilled, but what I'm talking about is very serious. And I'm praying um, that God will continue to help you and that God will help you be faithful in what He's called you to do. And I pray and I ask you to pray for me and to help me. Cover me in your prayers, please, because once you get into ministry, once you get back onto doing it full time, the enemy doesn't like that. And the other day I was speaking to Nas and I was like, babe, I felt in the spirit like I was moving, like like a battle. There's like one nation and another nation, and then there's the front lines here where people are about to like run and like go bah and fight and ching cling 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 cling, all of that. And I felt like I was at the back in the season, and I was like walking and making my way to the front. I was like, no, excuse me. Like I wasn't even saying excuse me, I was just walking and making my way to the front because I understand that that's where I was supposed to be. And check, when I got to the front, like when you got past the last person and you move forward and not even like pushing them out your way, but just like moving into your position. I always like picture these things, right? When I got to the front, I felt like Satan pointed at me and said, "Get him." And the people who were in the army, like all the people on this side and this side, like just turned and looked at me. So please pray for me. I'm not scared of the enemy, but I need you to cover me. And cover me as I cover you, as I pray for you, and as I help you, and I try my best to equip you with practical and powerful ways to live an impactful life, that you pray for me and cover me. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being part of this journey and for going through this first episode with me. I'm very excited to be back. Please don't forget to subscribe. Maybe you subscribed to the other YouTube account that I was using. That one no longer exists. So please subscribe to this one. It's right underneath. Press subscribe. If you press that notification button, you'll be alerted every time I upload a post. But also, please share with me in the comments if there's something about this video that stuck out to you, or if there's something that you'd like me to talk about. I'm here for the long haul, and I'm doing my best to make this as sustainable as possible. So please leave me a comment. Let me know some of the things that you'd like me to talk about, or if there's something about this video that spoke to you. Do you have parents that are, you feel like you're living through, that your parents are living their dreams and their visions through you, or that you're trying to live your parents' vision and dreams and trying to fulfill their dreams through your life? Maybe God didn't tell you to do that. Maybe He did, but that's a subject for another day. But maybe God didn't tell you to do that now in this time and in this season. Let me know. Let me know your story. I'd love to hear it. I'm looking forward to your feedback. I got cut. I reached my limits. I'm looking forward to your feedback. Other than that, God bless you. We love you. Can't wait to see where this goes. Pray for me. I'm going to pray for you. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'll see you once again on Wednesday. I'll see you soon.